What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to talk about the significance of rubs and some of the details that I look for to, one, determine how big that deer possibly is if I'm looking at a young buck or a more mature buck, and two, whether that specific spot is a buck's core area, if that was a random rub, and is it something that I need to really pay attention to or just walk past. But before we get going too far, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below. And if you have any questions about today's content or any other content in the past or future, or if you have any other details you'd like to add to this video, don't hesitate to send me a comment down below. All right, so a lot of buck rubs tend to be very insignificant. You know, bucks are moving through at night, they're moving through during the rut, their testosterone's pumping, and they're just rubbing trees as they move through the woods. But on occasion, we run into trees that, one, can give away the size of buck that we're looking for, and two, rubs that can actually give away a buck's core area, bedding area. I chose this tree in particular because what this tree shows is this tree shows the height of a rub. It's a very small, normal sized tree. It's not a big, massive tree. But what's significant about this rub is that if I were to stand up next to it, the main part of the rub comes up to about my belly button here. The cool part, though, is that you can see there are marks further up this tree where it gets to be about my chest height. That tells me that that is a mature animal. Okay, so when a buck rubs, he's going to drop his head down and make the main portion of the rub right here. But a more mature buck is going to stand taller, and his rack is going to be taller also, so he's accidentally going to leave marks further up the tree just from getting into the rub. So those accidental tick marks and little rub marks that we look for, that's going to tell me that there's a more mature buck in the area. Obviously, mature bucks are going to rub tiny trees, and they're going to rub big trees also. And it just depends also on the buck's personality as well. But this particular tree, there's nothing special about this tree except how tall he's getting this tree rubbed up. So really, when I'm walking through the woods and I'm looking for rubs, I'm only looking for this style of rub. I'm looking for a tall, significant rub that'll tell me, okay, there's a buck in the area. There's a good buck in the area that I need to maybe dive a little bit deeper into that specific spot and see if I can piece together some more rubs and go from there and see what the area is showing me, see what that buck is telling me in that specific spot. When I'm really diving into evaluating rubs in a specific spot, I'm looking for signpost rubs, big main primary rubs, and the majority of the time they're going to be concentrated in a specific area. And if I can start piecing together a couple of those rubs, I'm going to slow down and take my time and really look harder, pay attention to the terrain features and the direction that buck is moving, and then I can start piecing together more rubs. Sometimes I'll find a scrape, I'll find feed trees. A lot of times it's going to be thick, good, dense bedding cover as well. And the more I piece together, the more I can see that he's using this specific spot more than normal. And then what I'll tend to find too is that in that area, I'll also find his beds. I'll find bed, nice big circle, hair in it, and a buck will always leave a rub right next to his bed, as long as there's a tree there and he's not out in the middle of a field, obviously. But the majority of the time, a buck's going to leave a rub right next to his bed, and that'll be a tell for us that that is a mature buck bed. That's what he's using on for the majority of his time in that specific area. He feels safe there. And then we're going to look for a rub line, something piecing together smaller rubs, say like this, going away from that main core area, something to give away a possible movement pattern that he's using in and out of that specific core area and main bedding area. Something else I like to pay attention to also is I found on public, the more pressure it tends to get, the fewer rubs I tend to find. But once I find rubs, they tend to be more significant. They tend to be concentrated in a buck's core area. So just because I'm not finding widespread rubbing all over the property does not mean that the few that I find are not incredibly significant, because they are. I tend to find bucks are bedding right in that general area. That's their core area, and they're only rubbing in that core area. So I hope that gives you guys something to think about, some details and understanding when it comes to evaluating rubs here in the postseason and putting all the puzzle pieces together for next year's fall movement and foreshadowing next year's fall movement. Please hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next video.